Hello,
All
Gali.
right. Hello, Abale.
How are you doing?
Very good, very good. I'm glad that we're doing another live. We've been so good and
Nice.
consistent.
Amazing. Yes, I'm going next week. I'm going to be in Israel, so
Wow,
it will be
that's going to be
amazing.
amazing.
Yes, we're going to
That's going to
do
be
a
amazing.
live
I'm
from
going,
Israel.
we'll do from Israel, and I'm going to be this week in Oregon, but by the time we are here next week, I'll already be back in Florida. So
Oh,
there's going to
nice.
be a lot of good traveling.
Yeah, lots of good traveling. Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Yofi, well, excellent. So we are
What are we
here.
talking about today?
Yeah, so today the idea is working remotely,
Hmm.
working from home. The whole
Yeah.
idea is, the last year and a half has been
Hmm.
a totally different territory for both the employee and the managers and the owners and the bosses of everybody's now working from home. Even with offices opening up again,
Hmm.
people are still choosing to work from home. Managers are saying, let's just have remote offices. So
Yeah.
with that, in my opinion, what I've seen is it's like 30% at least reduction in efficiency,
Yeah.
unless you know what to do. And so that's sort of what I want to discuss with you, and is that whole topic today.
Okay, I'm ready. What's the question?
So the
That's
question, yeah, exactly. No, there is no question. That's it for the live.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
good. That was a very good live. Thank you very much.
Yes, I have had a lot of realizations already.
Good.
Yes. No. So the real question is, what would you say is the most important thing to know? And I guess we can look at it from both viewpoints. Good to know as an employee, you're now working from home, you have to motivate yourself and everything. And good to know as an owner, how do you get your team to produce? How do you manage them? That whole subject.
Okay, so this is a big subject. Let's start with the basic of the subject. The basic of the subject is that regardless where you're working from, you need to become efficient.
True. True.
Yes?
I mean, just one note on that, that now that you've mentioned that, I just want to say it's amazing how people realized how inefficient their businesses were up until COVID. I mean, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they realize, wow, we can get rid of certain staff, or we just haven't been doing this right, or we've been spending too much money here. So for sure, got you.
So the first thing, regardless if you work from home or you work from Mars or the International Travel
Space
Station,
station.
space station, yes, travel station, space
Yeah.
station, you need to become efficient. And to become
Yes.
efficient, the first thing you need to know is that your efficiency is defined by your state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Not by
Yeah.
your tools, not by the software, not by where you are, by your state of mind. Okay? So what does
Yes.
it mean, affinity? Affinity mean a minimum, sorry, what does it mean, efficiency? Efficiency mean when someone is efficient, it means minimum action to maximum expected reaction.
Okay. Yes.
So if I do that and I create a mountain, and a mountain is what I want, it's very efficient as opposed to going and moving a lot of sand and building a mountain. Okay, so minimum
Right.
action to the most expected reaction. Now,
100%. That
why
makes sense.
people are not efficient? Because they're doing something else with their mind. Instead of
Mm.
producing, they're doing something else with their mind, and so they do not produce. And why they don't actually do what they should do is simply because they don't know what they're actually doing. Now it will sound amazing. What do you mean? I know what I'm doing. I'm going to the office and I'm working. No, 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 no. You need to really understand and figure out where are you going.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And most people, if I'll ask you, what do I want? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
I promise you that most people will get into this, and they will start to tell you all kind of stories, or they will not answer, or they will ask you why you're asking, but they don't actually know what do they want to do. much less where do they want to arrive.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Okay.
if you don't know, if I'm going towards New York, and I don't know that I'm going towards New York, and I just know that I'm driving, I can drive anywhere and never arrive to New York.
True. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you need to know in your mind where you're going, and when you know where you're going, and when it's very clear to you, this is where I'm going, all of a sudden you will start to become efficient. You have a
wow.
job.
Okay.
Yeah, you have a job, and most people think that, I really want to have time to play, and I really want to do what I like. So what they do, they delay the job and try to do the play. They end up not doing not the play and not the job. The
True.
way to have time to play is to take the job, define exactly what's the end result, snap it, kill it, finish it, and all of a sudden you will have a lot of time for fun.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing to understand about efficiency. You want to increase the efficiency of a person by 3 times, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Define with him, where are we going with this project? What are you actually doing? Because if not, what will happen? The person will do anything but what he should do.
True. That's very true. So basically, what is the end result? Just knowing that very clearly, and also, would you say by when is
Yeah,
important? By
that's part
when it
of the
must
end
be done.
result. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's part
So
of the end result.
of course. So end result, what it is exactly, when it should be done, knowing that very clearly will make you more efficient.
Exactly. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two. Once you have that, the probably the most important part after that is that there will be some kind of demand for results. Someone have to demand the results.
Okay. Somebody has to be on you to say, you've got to get this done now.
Yeah. I
Okay.
don't know if you noticed, but let's say you need to do some job and it takes time and blah, 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 blah. But then you need a flight. You have a flight and you have one day before the flight. And all of a sudden, one day before the flight, you finish everything you have to do because there is someone is demanding results.
Yeah.
Without demand for results, there will be no results from no one, even if you are God yourself.
Yes.
Maybe
It's true. Before. What then?
Maybe except the one exception is God.
Yeah, exactly. But it's so true that before a flight, you do so much. Like, I have so much to do, and you always get it done and
Yeah.
arrive on time to your flight.
Exactly.
Because
there's a demand for results.
Yeah, no choice.
So the next thing you need to do, you need demand for results. How do you demand the results? You need to have a very clear understanding of what is the result, as we said earlier.
Yeah.
And someone need to, or someone or something need to cause you to change your mind about how much you want those results. So for example, I'll give you a very good example of how does it work with money. Most of the people have exactly the amount of money that they need.
Yeah.
And people will say, no, I don't have enough money or money. That's exactly how much you need because you manage. No one killed anyone. Like, it's very seldom that someone kills someone because he doesn't have money. Most of the people manage with what they have, and they have exactly what they consider that they need. Okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Which means you have an ability to generate amount of money. Let's say you can generate $5,000 per month. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Now, one of the best ways to increase the demand for production, this demand for results, is every time you've got money coming in, and this is something that if you will do, I promise you, you will increase your income and you will start to realize that you're in control of money. So every time money comes in, you take 10% of it from the top and you hide it. You put it in a bank account or you put it somewhere where you have no access to it. You cannot touch it. So now you used to live on $5,000 tightly. And now you take $500 away. And you need to live on 4,500. You have to, because someone taking it away from you. Mm-hmm. It's automatic. You cannot stop it, and you cannot use this money. And all of a sudden, you will see that you will generate more than $5,000 because the demand for production increase. At the beginning, you may cry, but after you'll understand that you're not going to get your dummy, it's gone. You'll manage without the dummy.
Yes, 100%. It's because if you think about it, people manage without, 40% of your taxes are gone. You have no choice, and you manage. You figure it out. With 40% gone, there's no choice. You can figure out how to do it with another 10% off.
So you do that. Two things happening. Number one, you start to realize as this bank account grow that you can have money. That you can have money. And number two, the demand for production grows. And since you already demonstrated that you can generate 5,000, you go into gear, and all the negotiation you ever done in your life is only with your mind.
What do you mean?
Any negotiation you ever done in your life is with your mind. Can I do something? You negotiate with your mind. Your mind tell you, no, it's difficult, it's painful, it is. You say, no, maybe, let's do that. Another two sets, another two. You go to the gym. And I went to the gym today, and I've done this step up on 600 bar, like you step on this box. Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, so I usually do 50. So the trainer said, okay, today we're going to do 60. I said, okay, 60, no problem. We'll do 60. And then when we got close to 60, he said 70. I said, okay, 70 is fine. And when we got to 70, he said 80. And before we got to 80, I told him, okay, fine, 100.
Let's cut to the chase.
Cut to the chase. Yeah. And throughout this time, you have a negotiation with your mind. You negotiate with your mind. You close yourself on changing your mind. You go to sell, you don't sell to another person. If you are close, he will buy. If the salesperson is close, he will buy.
Yeah.
If there's one exception, if you're married, but we're not talking about. So
that's for another live.
That's for another, yes. But generally, all the negotiation you do, you negotiate with your mind.
Right.
So you already negotiated with your mind that you can do $5,000, and that it's not enough, but you can do. Yes. So when I take 500 away from you, and you realize that you're making only 4.5, you will make the $5,000 because you're already close on the fact that you can.
Yes. Yes.
So if you actually have that, if you create this demand for production, money by hiding it away, a project by putting a very strict deadline. I'm not going home before this thing is going. I'm not going to sleep before the inbox is empty. You just put this. Okay, this is demand for production. I'm not going home before the inbox is empty. Or we have webinars to prepare, yes? So the webinar have a specific time, and always we are ready on time with the webinars. Why? Because there's demand for production.
Yeah, 100%. It's actually fascinating sometimes in the last minute, and it's like, whoop, we made it. But
we made it. Yes.
And you see that not just with webinars, with people can all relate to a time that they got it done in the last minute. And it's just like, well, why? Because that was the deadline.
Yeah, because you need demand for production. You need a gun to your head to move.
So would that be, a lot of people say, I work well under pressure, or I can only work under pressure. I need pressure to produce.
The only way that you work is under pressure. People that tell you I don't work, the only way that you can produce is under pressure. People don't produce when there's no pressure.
Okay.
Never. If you've got endless amount of time to write a book, you will never write a book. But if someone comes and say, look, I'm going to kill your son if you're not doing a book in 3 weeks, there will be a book in exactly 3 weeks.
Yeah, there will. 100%. So for sure. So that
I
makes
cannot
sense.
stop. I cannot stop smoking. Yes, I cannot stop smoking. Someone come to you and say, "Well, you've got 24 hours to live unless you stop smoking." 2.5 seconds later, he stops smoking.
Yeah, 100%. People change
People
their
work.
entire lives from a heart attack.
Yeah, because people work well only under pressure.
Wow, got you. Okay, so now I totally get it from the perspective, you're an entrepreneur, you make your own money. So this very much applies of like set aside money. But what about a person who they work a 9 to 5, they have a set salary, and now they're working from home. How do what's their motivation to produce more? No one's
Well,
really keeping an eye on them like they used to be at the office.
they will not produce.
They will not
They will not
produce.
produce.
Okay.
They will not produce.
So, okay. So
Bottom
what does
line,
the manager do?
they need to come up and decide. Okay, what do I want to achieve?
Mhm.
If they don't find out what they want to achieve, they don't work. They move. There's a difference between producing and moving. Moving warm the air. Yes.
Yes.
Someone
Yes.
need to pay to cool the air down. Yes. That's
Yeah.
moving. Producing bring actual result that have an exchange value within or outside the organization. Someone is willing to pay for it.
Yes.
So if you work from home and you don't have demand for production, you don't produce. Simple.
Okay. So how does the manager, because that's somebody that has a 9 to 5, so for sure there's a manager there. How does the manager get their people to produce more?
Okay. So the first thing, the manager need to learn how to become organized. He needs to have a
Themselves.
system. Yeah, of course. He needs to have a system that when he give a task to someone, he needs to understand that he's dealing with communication. When someone work in the office or outside of the office, what you're dealing with is communication over a distance or affecting control over a distance by the use of communication. So you want to control a person away from you through the use of communication. Okay?
Yeah.
Communication can be divided into three type of communications. Number one, noise, useless. Just total noise.
So what would be an example of that in an organization?
Spam registration to any kind of mailing list, all of those things should not be done in organization. Removed. You don't register to mailing lists. You don't register to any newsletters, any nonsense. All of this thing is noise.
Unless it's the Guaranteed Prosperity newsletter?
No, it's not for the office. Even if it's our newsletter, it's not for the office. This is something for you personally. It's not on your production line. It's for you personally. Yes.
Okay. That's interesting. I like that. Okay.
Yeah, because otherwise you spend more time. If I count the time that people press delete on deleting stuff they don't need, or how much time they look and spend time on just registering, this is that, this is that, this is that, it's a lifetime of wasted time.
It is 100%.
So number one, remove noises. And we will explain more what the noises are. But the first thing to understand that communication is divided between noise, just information lines. So there is a broadcast that someone sent that he's not expecting a reply.
Yes.
So we have a family reunion with or office meeting in 3 weeks. Fine, I don't need a reply. Yes.
Yes.
I let you know. The cafeteria is open from 7 to 9. Okay. I don't need a reply for that. Okay. So this is information line.
Yeah.
And then there is tasks. What is task? Task is something that some specific person, one person, not two. Task is always to one person. Yes.
Right.
So it's something that goes to a specific person. It's something that has a specific result that has to be achieved at a specific time, and they need to be reported as completed, and the reported completion has to be confirmed as completed.
Gotcha.
So you tell me to do something, you tell me this is the result, I tell you this is the result, I show you the result, I bring you a proof of the result, and you need to tell me, yes, it is completed, this is what I want or not. So the first thing to know that you need to have these three type of communications, okay? And you need to have a system to manage those.
100%. So sorry to interrupt. So the three, so you have information line, tasks, and what was the third?
Noise.
Oh, noise. Okay, got you. So noise, got you.
It's a big subject. It's not only, noise. It's not only spam and all kind of newsletters, etc. Noise can be someone coming to your office. Noise can be someone calling you. When you work, your phone needs to be off. You need to have a specific time where you open the phone and you answer the messages. You should not really, unless if you're a salesperson, you should really not be on the phone.
Yeah.
You should do things in writing. So there's a whole subject of how do you, what is noise? There are many, many types of noise. There's a few tens type of noise. You need to learn them and recognize them, because most people don't recognize it as a noise. Someone come to your office and say, hey, Gali, what do you think about that? That's noise. You're in the middle of something, you work on something, and someone call you and say, hey, what do you think about that? That's noise. You need to understand what it is and handle it. But this probably will be a separate whole thing of what is noise, yes?
Yeah, so in other words, just another way you could say it would be different types of distractions.
Yes.
Things that just draw your attention away from you working. And then when you get distracted, it takes you triple the time just to get back to where you were in the first place.
Yeah. You can say that you are competent for as long as you do what you do when you're doing it.
Right.
You're competent for as long as you do what you do when you're doing it. So anything that take you away from what you're doing actually make you less competent in the area that you are doing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you need to understand that. So the initial question is, what will the manager do? He needs to understand that there are three type of communication lines, and he needs to set up a system that will allow him to control the tasks. Most important, allow him to control the task. Also the noise and the information lines, but first and foremost the task. If you don't have system that show you how to control the task, you will drown by the noise, because everything will become into a noise. We have the time maker. I've developed a specific system to do that, and I'm not trying to sell anyone that thing. You can use any system that you want if you can find it. I don't know about any other system that doing what the time maker doing, but the time maker is designed to handle that specific task, that you will do what you need to do when you need to do it. And if you are not doing it, if your employee is not doing it, I will know about it. And if I'm the manager and I'm not doing it, my boss will know about it at a certain time. So it's totally controlled, yes?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing you do. You set up a system that is basically the demand for production on the person. The further the person is from you, the more important for you to have such a system. If the guy is
super important.
These days is more important than breathing.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what I would do without such a system. I use TimeMaker. I have no idea how I would operate without it.
Yeah.
Let alone with working remotely. But yeah.
I have a friend. a friend and someone that works for me for a few years, Gabi Levy. He was the CTO of one of my companies, and he left the company and he started to work with Apple. And he called me one day and he says, look, man, I need a time maker. And I said, you're working for Apple, you know. We're working with proper computers, with PCs.
Exactly.
And he said, I'm buying a laptop just for that. And I'm not putting it as part of the whole thing. I will use it. And there was a whole thing about it. Can we do it? Can he do it or not within Apple, etc.? Never mind. But it was so important for him because once you use the time maker, you cannot fathom how do you control a team without it. How do you control your own work? Never mind your team.
100%.
Yeah, but that's a side note. Yes.
Yeah,
The,
true
the
though.
message
It's
is basically
very
you need a system to control your work remotely. You need a system to control your employees, and if not, by the time you realize that something has not been done, it will be when it's too expensive.
Yeah, there's an emergency.
There's
a
an emergency.
disaster.
Yes, there's a disaster, and
yeah.
so this is the first thing. The second thing that you need to know, which is part of the noise, and which I mentioned before, if you work at home, you need to make sure that you have a set time when you start, when you go to lunch, when you stop. It needs to be set time. It needs to be very, very rigid, because otherwise everything and everyone around will pull you away from your work.
Totally.
When you start to work, you disconnect your phone, you disconnect the internet, you don't do anything else other than what you do. I don't know if you noticed, but in the old days when things were nice and airplanes did not have Wi-Fi, you went onto a flight, and in a flight of 6 to 10 hours, you finish backlog of a year. Like,
right.
You could crank in 10 hours what you cannot do on the ground for 20 hours or 100 hours. Why? Because they were not distraction. It's not because the airplane was flying fast, so you work faster.
Right.
Because there was no distraction. So the problem of efficiency, the problem of working away from home, is that there are too many distractions, and you need to kill those distractions.
Yes. Yeah, the schedule, I just want to say, is super important, because I know that I've even seen some people laughing about it on the internet. Like, it was March, and okay, we're working from home, and COVID began, and so you wake up, you make your coffee at 9 a.m., you sit at the desk, and then it was like after week one of working from home, and it's like, oh, you hit the snooze button, okay, you stay a little longer. By month one, you're waking up at 11, you're still in your pajamas, you're going and like making some cup of coffee. It's like you lose it completely because you just have your own flexible schedule. Or one of my employees, for example, was working from home during that time. And then his wife asked him to just go down to the store to get milk. So he's like, okay, no problem. It's like 2 p.m. So he's like, I'm just going to run off and get it. And then his car breaks down. And then it was the whole afternoon gone because he had to now handle the car. And it was like, you need to have a schedule.
You need to have a schedule. You need to make yourself inaccessible. The door, the place you work at needs to be locked. People don't come in. They need to know, while I'm working, you don't come in. Not your children, not your family, not your friends. You're not coming. You need to disconnect as much as you can your connection to the world. If you need the internet, turn it on when you need it. But otherwise, keep it off. Like physically have an on-off button. Disconnect the cable. Turn off the Wi-Fi. It sounds harsh, but if you do it once, you will see that you will produce at least 6 times more at the same time.
Wow. You think 6 times more?
6 times more at the same time. You take one day, you'll produce work of 6 days. If during that day you will just lock the door, number one, set a specific times, set a specific schedule, disconnect the phone. Don't allow anyone to interfere with you, and disconnect the internet as much as you can. Of course, if you need the internet, you connect and you go and do just what you need. You don't go to any other places. Don't have the browser open automatically 20 tabs. Only one tab, the tab that you need, and you do only what you need. And you really control your mind. You do this negotiation with your mind that you don't do anything else other than what you're supposed to do, regardless of how shiny the advertising is. You don't go and check it for a second, because nothing takes a second. Every second, if you think it's going to take a second, it will take an hour. If you think it will take an hour, it will take a day. If you think it will take a day, it will take a week. That's the order of magnitude of how much Noise interfere with you.
Wow. True, I've seen it. So basically, what I would recommend, just based on what I'm hearing, that every manager that has people working remotely, the employees need to listen to this, and then the owner needs to demand that of the employee.
100%.
Basically, this is the system we're doing. I'm gonna check if your phone's on. I'm going to, we're gonna work like
Yeah.
this, and just for a week, just for a day. Let's do it for one day and see how it goes.
Yeah. If you do that, you don't need to take my word for it. But if you do it, you will see that the problem of efficiency, the problem of production is not the production, is what stop production.
Yes.
The problem of production is never production. It's what stop production.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when something stop you, you do the same thing 5 times.
True. Yes.
When something's true, because you start to write a document, someone call, you answer the call. Now, since you spoke to him, you realize that there's no coffee, so you go and get a coffee. But since you spoke to him, he wanted you to check something, so you went to check something. So you have a tab open on the computer, and now you look and you see, oh, 1 second, does it really happen? So you go and check this news. And you went to check the news, and you finished to read it, and you closed the browser, and you didn't even go to where you started to read something for, let's say, research. And now you need to go back and open and find where you've been and restart the whole thing.
I hate when that happens. I hate it. You go on Facebook to do something specific, and then you get distracted, and then you finally get off Facebook, you pull yourself away, and then you're like, wait, I didn't even do what I went on for the first thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is 1 hour later, if you are lucky.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. So the problem of production is the problem of distraction.
Yes,
you are distracted. Totally. You are distracted all the time, and you need to cut the distraction.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Working from home, the distraction is bigger usually than working in an office. Why? Because in an office, the viewpoint is I need to produce. People usually, not in all offices, even in an office, the production is very low. Yes, the time maker is doing. It has a system that check automatically the efficiency of the company. Why? Because you have a task and you give a task to someone, and 100% efficiency is I tell you, make me coffee, and you give me coffee. Okay, it's done. It's what I want. Yes. So I give the task, you give me a done, and I say thank you. Okay, and usually I don't even have to say thank you. So we know that this is 100% efficiency. But imagine that I write, get me coffee, okay? And I didn't send it. I closed the time maker in between because I went out, because someone called me, because whatever. Okay, so I go in. I remember I need the coffee. I open the task again. I send it to you. I send you the task. You receive the task. You say, which coffee? I said, the coffee that I always like, Turkish coffee. And you say, okay, with sugar or without? I say, with sugar. You write to me, I didn't want to tell you that for a long time, but I have to tell you, sugar is not healthy. And you refer me to research about how unhealthy sugar is. So I tell you, I know it's unhealthy. Please make me coffee with sugar. And you say, okay, but you didn't tell me about milk. So with milk. And you say, okay, since we're on the subject of milk, I just want to tell you that maybe you should get oat milk. I said, you know what? I'll do the coffee. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Now, it sounds funny, but that's what happened most of the time.
Yeah.
And it's not by asking questions. Is you tell to someone, paint the wall. So they go to paint the wall, but they don't paint it in the right paint. And you say, whoa, you need the primer first. So they're now putting the primer on the paint that they put, but first they have to sand it. So they do that, and you say, okay, paint the wall. And they're supposed to be professional. And you discover that they didn't protect the switches, and they didn't protect this, and they painted half of the furnitures as well. So now they need to clean the furnitures, clean the switches, repaint the furnitures and so on. And you get on and on and on and on, and something that should take 1 month takes 6 years.
Right.
And why do I say 6 years? Because usually somewhere along the line you say whatever, and you leave it until the next renovation.
True. Yes.
Understand?
Yeah. Yeah. Or it's never fully completed. You're like, whatever, I'll just work with it with the light switches a little painted over, whatever.
Exactly.
It just
whatever.
doesn't get done.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. True. Wow. 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 Yeah. People need to see that. People have to see that. Employees to have that viewpoint, and the employers to know what to do for themselves and then their employees.
Yeah, it's a whole subject. It's very big. Right now we're just shooting some ideas, some very on the surface thing that will help a lot if you do them. But if you really want to handle working from home, there is a whole body of data that can get you how to train people to work from home in such a way that the efficiency will be so high that where they work from is not really important, because really where they work from is not important. The whole issue of remote management is a whole body of data by its own that you need to learn. If you don't learn how to remote manage people, you don't know how to manage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should look into you doing a seminar about how to work. Just how to work, full stop. If you do this, you'll basically become 6 times more efficient at least. Will make 6 times more money because of your increased production.
Yeah.
And not only for you, but for anyone that works with you, you become a production machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it's a very interesting subject.
Yeah. I think we should do that. And in the meanwhile, what I can tell you that the basic problem of production is do it now and do it once.
Yeah.
Do it now and do it once. You want to be efficient, do it now and do it once.
Right. Right.
If you keep these two, do it now and do it once, you will be okay. Of course, the tools, TimeMaker can help you, policies will help you a lot. But if you push everyone into, look, we're going to do it now and do it now. If you just do that and do it once, or if you do it now and do it once, if you push that idea into your company, if you push it to you as a person, you will see that alone will double your production.
Absolutely. The do it once part is so important. I mean, I've seen it with some video editors that we work with, where they go over it. They do it now, but they go over it, and then they're like, I'm going to go over these parts again later. I just wanted to go over it like that. And it's like, no. When you're at that section, make sure that 30 seconds is done. Then you move on.
So they don't do it now.
They don't even do it now. Exactly. They don't even do it now.
Because they created a delay.
They don't have the viewpoint of do it once. Do it now, once, right, all the way.
Yeah.
So you think you're doing it now, but you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Amazing. That was all incredible. That was very well. So helpful. This is a game changer because it will make you so productive that I can totally see how you'll increase your income from being more productive, obviously.
Yeah. And you'll see that it's applied to anything. It's not only for work. In relationship, it's the same thing. Relationship have noise. Relationship have things that you don't do it now and don't do it twice. Don't do it once. You do it 50,000 times. It applies to anything, but you 100%. Just need to learn and to look at that and to see how it applies to you.
Yes. Yeah. Totally. Wow, that's amazing. That's really great. Yeah.
Okay. Gilly, thank you. Gilly says amazing. Harold says TimeMaker is brilliant. Move not work funny, yes. Rebecca and Natasha referred to Rebecca Smith, yes. And Gilly said, I love you and I love you too. Hi from Switzerland. And Marcel, love Marcel, love you back. Monica, hi guys. And Poonam, hi, hello. And Avi Budara, I'm going to be in Israel on Saturday, by the way. So I hope we meet. And Lisa, hi. Yes, Lisa say hi. So yeah, that's all I think.
Amazing. That was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So much. That was awesome.
I love you, Gali. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Yes.
And we will see you next week from Israel.
Yes, it's going to be amazing.
Okay. Gali, I love you.
I love you. Bye,
Thank you,
guys.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.